Their business is your business. As Jamaica moves toward becoming a more knowledge-based society, increasingly citizens want to assess and review the actions of government. One way is by gaining access to government documents. Since 2002, the Access to Information Act has facilitated the disclosure of government documents to almost anyone who requests it. However, there are a few exceptions.
There are 9 categories of information that are not permissible through the Act. We do not grant access to government deliberations. For instance, cabinet documents, whatever is discussed in cabinet, anything that is sensitive in terms of the national economy.
For example, documents on current negotiations with the International Monetary Fund, national security, foreign relations, private citizens, private businesses, and national heritage will not be released to the public.
And persons usually ask, what about national heritage? Because that is a very vague area. And we will say to them, Jamaica government has been exploring for oil for the past how many years? We do know that oil is present. In what proportions we don't know, but we cannot publicize to say it is there in the pleasure keys at the specific location.
Your personal records held by government departments can also be updated or corrected using the Access to Information Act. Damian, Director of the Access to Information Unit, explains.
Where a public entity has personal information on you, perhaps your employment record, and if there's something incorrect on that record, you can have that changed. Similarly, school records, if something is incorrect on your school record, you can use the Access to Information Act to have that changed as well.
The unit's primary responsibility is to monitor compliance with the Act. You may make requests for copies of government documents via email, fax, or over the phone. Another option is visiting the respective government entity or the ATIAA unit in Halfway Tree.
Once the requests are received in any government entity, we have a standard procedure. They should be documented. And we have within 30 days within the date of receipt to deal with these requests. So from day one, we will assess those requests to decide whether or not they are within that public entity's purview. If they relate to another public entity, then we will consider transferring those.
There's also a provision for an additional 30 days to process your request. However, if you have been denied access to government documents you feel are not exempt, then you have a right to appeal. Dorothy Pine-McLarty is chairperson of the 5-member ATIAA Appeals Tribunal.
The applicants can appear in person if they wish, with persons to support them, and indeed with their own lawyers representing them if they so desire. And each side is given full opportunity to express their various the dissatisfaction they may have.
Although the tribunal has been hearing less appeals these days, chairperson of the Access to Information Advisory Stakeholders Committee, Dr. Carolyn Gomes, believes the panel is helping to broaden the scope of government transparency.
Principle that underlines this law flies in the face of the closed-up, secretive government paradigm that we've been living by.
It's now time for strengthening the 9-year-old Act to give the unit more statutory force. Cabinet is to revise a set of recommendations. Until then, Dr. Gomes says there's still some way to go where opening up the doors for public access to government documents is concerned. There's also the additional challenge of letting you know the usefulness and importance of this public right-of-way.
Information is power, and that the information that the average citizen can get under this act is information that can make them powerful, not anybody else. So it's information about yourself, your community, why the gully isn't cleaned, what's the land titling status, what's happening with the NHDC money that you put in how many years ago and there's still no infrastructure. What about the community plans? When is you were promised water? What's happening with it? So you can get information that's actually really important to you.
It's for that reason September 28 is observed as International Right to Know Day.
What Right to Know Day does is it celebrates internationally for all those countries that have laws, but also those that don't have them. Celebrates the fact of openness, of the citizens' access to this information, and of the power that that brings.
Access to information is not an option. It's a part of everyday governance now. It's part of the requirement to be among the modern community of nations.